Welcome on in, guys. This is Three Bold Takes. We're almost halfway through the regular season of college football. We have decided that we're going to stop and give you our college football playoff predictions halfway through the year. We did them in the summer. We're doing them now. We'll probably do them again conference weekend. For Chase, Freddie, and Quinn, we're excited to start.
Yeah, so it's changed since preseason. Obviously, I think
Oh,
it's almost impossible to predict the full playoff, especially when there's only four teams preseason. But that being said, my number four is Alabama. That may be a hot take in and of itself, um, but I like what I saw against Texas A&M. Right, the defense played really well. The defense in the second half of every game they've played has been unreal. Um, and I think that continues. However, Alabama proved against Texas A&M that when they're forced to throw the ball, they can still score points and be successful. Now, it's not the Alabama passing attack that we've seen in recent memory with Bryce Young and Tua and even Jalen. Like, it's a different feel, and the receiving core isn't quite what it used to be. However, I think that Texas A&M game was their toughest test so far, and will be one of the toughest moving forward up until the SEC championship game, which I have them beating Georgia in, and that's why they slide in at 4 over Georgia. So that's my number 4. At number 3, we have Florida State. Now this is one of the 2 or 3 teams that I actually had in the preseason, and that is Florida State. And we just got done doing an ACC video, so if you want our full thoughts on the ACC and Florida State, click over there. So I'm not going to dive in too deep into Florida State, but I like their schedule moving forward. Obviously, they have to play Florida at the end of the year. That will be a tough one. But I still think with one loss, if they're a conference champion, I think that they'll be in, just simply because of how they're ranked right now. Right, they're fourth right now, and I think over the course of the season, they may even be up to 1 or 2, probably 2 by the time they lose a game. And that's huge. Where you're ranked before you lose a game is huge whenever it comes to the playoffs. Now, we like to say that the playoff committee doesn't look at the AP poll, but they do. I mean, the AP poll isn't like it's so far off that, there's no point to look at it, or it's not even a good indication of what could happen. So at number 2, I've got Oregon. Now, this is where I've switched up. I had USC preseason because I was really hot on them. But Oregon, to me, is the team to beat in the Pac-12 right now. If you look at statistics, if you care anything about statistics, total offense, they're second in the country. Total defense, they're sixth in the country. That will propel you to a playoff spot, in my opinion, with those kind of stats. Now, they're going to have to prove it because they have some tough games coming up. They play Washington this week. They also play USC. And then obviously the Pac-12 championship game. But I've got Oregon at number 2. And at number 1, it's not changing from preseason. Quinn is the Penn State Nittany Lions, undefeated in the regular season and winning the conference championship, the Big Ten Conference Championship. By the way, they have the number 1 defense in the country right now. I just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there. So that's my 4. I'll run through them real quick. Number 4, Alabama. Number 3, Florida State. Number 2, Oregon. And number 1, Penn State. Any rebuttals here? I know that was a lot of information really quick.
Yeah, I've got one. I have an issue with, I think first I'll say this. I think Penn State's bold. I like Penn State, though. And I'll talk more on that on my own. But I think Penn State could be interesting. I have an issue with Florida State. I think what I've seen from Florida State so far, I think they had a really good win over LSU. But I think what we're seeing from LSU is they're not as good as we thought they were going to be. I think LSU's struggling against quality teams so far this season. And what I've seen outside of that LSU game, Florida State's been struggling against a lot of teams and not necessarily the top teams of the ACC. And I think they're exposable. I think the ACC is probably going to cannibalize itself, honestly. But that's my fear for Florida State right now. They look like a team that's going to get caught up. Pairing them with the ACC being better than we thought they would be, I think they might be a team that gets caught up in some, old Pac-12 favorites cannibalizing themselves in the Pac-12.
That's what I think happens in the Big 12, personally. So that's why I left the Big 12 off of here. Chase, go ahead.
The only drawback I really have, well, we've already discussed the Penn State in videos ago. I'm not going to get back into that one. We're not going to have a 10-minute debate. My only one is the Alabama one. So if you have Alabama beating Georgia, which I'm guessing is Georgia's only loss that season, correct?
No, remember I have them losing a regular season game as well.
Okay. Okay. Well, then this is a little different, but still maybe for me and Quinn, if Georgia is in the top four and they lose to Alabama in the SEC championship game, wouldn't it be more that Alabama and Georgia both stay in the top four like we've seen in the past?
I think it could be a problem for Georgia because their strength of schedule is not very good. They have a ranked game with Kentucky. They'll have a ranked game with probably Ole Miss, maybe Tennessee. Who knows with Missouri? If Missouri loses to Kentucky this weekend, that could really hurt their ability to have a ranked game with Missouri.
Right.
So they probably get at best 4 ranked games, none of them being high ranked opponents, or they get.
But I mean, if you look at the way I have it, I have the top two being undefeated in Penn State and Oregon, and then Florida State's a one-loss conference champion, and they're not going to pick a one-loss Georgia over a one-loss conference champion, in my opinion. So, I think there's a chance there.
I have one more issue. I don't like and this is a semantics thing, so don't get too upset. I don't think a one-loss conference champion Alabama is ranked below a one-loss conference champion. So even in your scenario, I feel like Alabama's 3 more.
I just personally, I think Alabama will probably heading into conference championship week not be in a realm where they could where they would statistically move to number 2 or 3. So it'd be like they would be the guy jumping into the conversation. That's why I have them at 4.
Maybe 5 or 6 into 4.
Yeah. Plus, it's all about matchups.
Yeah, that's fair.
So Penn State and Alabama would be a very good matchup.
Thank you guys for watching our college football playoff predictions. Of course, definitely some crazy ones in there and some heated discussions. Make sure to watch those videos, send them to people, talk to us about it, see what you like. Tell us also who you may have in your college football playoff predictions. For Freddie, Chase, and Quinn, we're signing off.